Hello everyone and welcome back to part 5. In the last session, we left it at the stage where we had implemented the search functionality and we were getting the list of videos from YouTube using the APIs. We are actually getting just 10 videos at a time, and you can see if I scroll to the bottom, after the 10th video it stops, nothing happens. And then we built some decent UI wherein we had a card. Inside the card we used a cache network image so that it does not download the images again and again from the internet, and we put in the channel name, we brought in the channel image from the APIs, we are displaying the video title and so on. So in this session what we are going to do, we are going to continue, and the very first thing we are going to implement this infinite scrolling functionality. So at the moment you will see, the moment we reach to the bottom, which is the 10th video in this list, it stops. What we should be doing, the moment we come close to this bottom one, we should actually make another API call and fetch the next 10 videos and display it. And as and when we scroll down, when we again come towards the end of the list, at the bottom of the screen, it should go and fetch the next 10 videos, and it should keep on doing until there are more and more videos available. So that is one thing that we are going to do. The second thing we are going to do is, just let me show you. For example, if I go ahead and search for Flutter right now, let me click on this. You see it used this loading indicator because it was making the API calls to the internet to fetch the details. If I again press on Flutter, the same text, you will see it is again making calls to the APIs, YouTube API, and fetching the same data again and again. This is unnecessary. So what we will also do, we will be implementing some sort of caching wherein maybe for 2 hours or 4 hours or 8 hours, depending on what our needs are, if we search for the same term within that amount of time that we specify, it will not hit the YouTube APIs, rather it will serve the results from the local cache. And only after that cache has expired, which is after the amount of time that we specified, then it will go and download fresh data again. So this is the second thing that we will implement. Another thing that we will implement is, right now if I click on any of these videos, if I'm just clicking on it, nothing happens. What we should do, it should actually redirect us to a video details page wherein we should make another API call to get more details about the videos. So these details can be, let me go back to the other version which we have quickly just to show you. So let this load up. So the same video, if I open up, so here, okay, this has some issue. Let's try with this one. So we should be bringing in how many views this video has, when was it posted, how many subscribers this channel has, the video details, the text which is available, the comments which have been posted, ability for us to play the video, so we can start playing the video, we can download the video, and so on. So these are some of the things that we will be doing, and for this we will need to have a second page. We will call that page video details page, and we will make another API call to fetch these details. So this is what we are going to do in this session today. So let us actually go ahead and start with the infinite scrolling. So let me go back to the other version. So right now you notice I go to the bottom, nothing happens. So we need to go ahead and we need to implement the infinite scrolling. Now the very first thing we need to do before we can start with the infinite scrolling, I need to go to my view model and I need to implement this functionality. So just like what we have done earlier, we have implemented this query for videos which we are calling from our page. Similarly, I can go ahead and I can create a new future void, basically a function which does not return anything, but it is run asynchronously. Let's call it load more videos. It does not take any input and it will perform some actions. Now the very first thing that I want to do is, before we start with this, let me actually go ahead and let me introduce another variable, which is I'm going to call it is loading more, and to start with, this is going to be false. So the very first thing we need to do in this function is we need to check if we are already loading more. So let us say if this command is already running, as and when we scroll down, as you will see, when we scroll down, there is a certain threshold that we will specify in the scroll events, and after that, every time this function is going to be called. So we need to make sure that if we are already loading, then we do not load any further and we stop. Or we also check if we have reached, let's say we keep on scrolling, we reach the end, next 10 videos come in, so we have 20 now. Again I scroll down, next 10 videos come in, 30, 40, 50, 60. Let's say there were a total of 67 videos. So the last time it is going to load the 7 videos, and after that, when I move forward, what is going to happen, if you remember in this get tube videos, the function that we wrote, we intelligently put in a next token. We are storing the next token. So by the time we reach the last record set, let's say if it is 67 items and we are downloading 10 videos at a time, so after 60, when we download, it will return us 7 videos in this list, and the next token is going to come in as empty. So we want to make sure that the next token is not empty. So that is something we can check. If the next token is empty, or we are already loading, we can simply return. We do not need to do anything, we can return. Otherwise, what we can do is we can actually go ahead and we set the is loading more equals to true. So this is to specify that we have started loading, and then I'm going to make the call to the same function that we already wrote, which is the get tube videos. So await get tube videos. I'm just going to make a call to this function, and this is going to go ahead and download the next videos, and you can see at the end, to the existing list, it is going to add the next 10 results, or in the last instance, in my example, the last 7 results, and then it will set the next token to empty. So this is a function that we wrote, or I wrote, which is recursively going and doing the same thing. I do not need to recode anything for load more videos. And once this is done, I'm going to say is loading more equals to false. So which means I'm not loading anything anymore. So this is the very first function that we need to write. Now, other than this, there is something else that we will do over here, which I will come back to a little bit later. But for the time being, let me just leave it at this, and let's go back to our start page. So this is our start page, and this is the, where do we have the list? We have here we have built the video list. Now what we need to do in this video list, we need to tell this video list that we need to start scrolling, or when we reach a certain threshold, we need to fire this method. Now for this, what we can do, I can go back to the stateless widget, which is the start page, and I can go ahead and I can create a private variable for a scroll controller. Let's call it scroll controller, and this is actually going to be a scroll controller. So I just create a private variable, a private scroll controller. Now what we need to do after this, we need to go and tell our list view that this is the controller that we need to use. So I'm going to go to my list view. So this is my list view, and what I can provide it with this scroll controller. So far good. So this scroll controller that we have created over here, it is listening for the scroll events on this list view that we have just created. So this is the list view. Now the next thing that we need to do is we need to tell this scroll controller that you need to respond to events at a certain threshold. We can say maybe at 90% of the width, or maybe 95% of the width, or 98% of, sorry, not the width, the height. So as and when we are scrolling, so right now we are scrolling, and the moment we reach say 95% or 98%, it will start loading or calling the load more videos functionality. So at the moment we are displaying around 10 videos. So 10 videos is roughly, each video is around 10%, and if we say 95%, it is roughly over here. The moment we reach somewhere over here, at this stage, it will start loading the next videos, which is a decent thing to do. Now, where are we going to tell this controller? So this one, we can do it on the page load itself. Now, since we are using a stateless widget, unfortunately, in the stateless widget, we do not have an option to set the start or initialization events over here. But luckily, the stacked MVVM framework that we are using, it does allow us. So basically what it does is, we have this on model ready, and you remember the moment this view model is loaded, immediately after that we are calling the search videos. So the search videos is coming over here, which automatically starts loading the first 10 videos. So this is the same event that we can tap into. So since we are going to do something more, I'm going to remove this and I'm going to create this as an anonymous function with multiple commands that we can add. So the command that we need to handle is, we need to say scroll controller dot, we can add the listener. So we can add a listener, and this add listener simply takes in an anonymous function, and this is where we can put in our logic. So what happens whenever the scrolls happen or any scroll event is raised, which means every time when I scroll up and down, there are literally thousands of scroll events which are raised. So for every pixel, it is raising a scroll event. So maybe if I just do this or this much, it may be raising 5, 10, 15 events. So what we need to do is, I need to check, let's actually go back here and we say if I can check if scroll controller dot position dot pixels. So I can check for the pixel location, and if it is greater than, let us say 0.95, which is the 95% of the scroll controller dot position dot max scroll extent, which is the full size of this scroll. So starting from here all the way, if I keep on scrolling all the way to the bottom, this is the scroll extent, assuming that the height of this box is 100, and maybe in between we have a 5 pixels padding. So it is 100 into 10, so 1000 plus maybe 5 into 9, roughly around 1050 is the size. So we can say if the current location is more than 95%, then what I can do, I can say go ahead and start loading more videos. So this is all we can do over here, and this is a one-time event that we need to add. So as and when, so I will tell you, as and when I'm scrolling, nothing happens because it will go over here, and right now the current pixel location is less than 95%, so it is not going to call. But the moment I come to this almost here, which is 95%, it will start firing. And as it is scrolling, for each pixel it is going to fire this event, and that's the safeguard that we have put in over here, that if we are already loading more, then we don't fire this again and again. So with this in mind, with this in place, let's actually go ahead and run this code. So it is now loading up. So let me show you, the moment I scroll down, let me go to the bottom and see. Right now nothing is happening. It does not seem to be firing the event. Let me just check quickly. I think I know the problem. It is not notifying because, let me go back to my view model, and you remember I said that we will be doing something over here, because by default, you remember we implemented this base view model which in turn implements the change notifier. This is very similar to the I notify property change. So we need to notify the front end that something has changed. For that is the reason I said that we will do something over here, and I'm going to put in notify listeners over here, and I'm going to notify listeners over here. Now this one I will tell you why I have put it at this stage, but at this stage this is definitely required. So let me actually go ahead and reload this. It's going to rerun this, and now you can see as and when we keep on scrolling, it is fetching more and more videos. It is scrolling infinitely. Let me stop and let me rerun again just for your benefit. In fact, while it is loading, what I will do just to prove that it is doing this, I am going to introduce a delay over here. So let me just scroll for now, and you will notice right now, you see, after some time it came in, and right now it was not there, and then it will start coming in. So what we will do is, let me actually put in some delay just to show it to you. Future.delay delayed, and we can say the duration is a duration of maybe 3 seconds. That should be enough. Let me refresh this, and now if I go to the bottom, it will wait for 3 seconds, and then after 3 seconds this should appear. It is not doing. Maybe we have reached the end. Let me stop and rerun. Maybe the hot restart is not working correctly. Let me close this. So I put in a delay of 3 seconds, and then I am calling the get videos. So let this load. Let's close this. Let's go to the bottom, and we are waiting. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you could see after 3 seconds it came in. Now again, if I go, it is not stopping. So it keeps on getting the next videos. Let us stop this. We can remove. Now another thing that we should do, right now there is no indication when we are going to the bottom, there is no indication that something is being loaded. So that's what we can introduce a loading indicator. So you remember there is this notify listeners that I put in over here. So the moment I say is loading more is equal to true, notify the listeners, and then once it is done, again notify the listeners. I can make use of this notify listeners to display a user interface for this. So for this, what we can do, we have this list view, and after the list view, once we have the list view, what we can do is I can put in maybe another sized box of height 8 should be fine, and then I can display maybe within a center I can put in let's actually put in another sized box because I want to give it a proper size. So the height I can give it as say 28, the width I can give it as 28, and the child of this can be something. Let's go ahead and save this. So in the child, I'm going to put in a circular progress indicator, and for this circular progress indicator, I am going to use, for the color, I'm going to use the white color. So I can say always stopped animation of type color, and this can be my light color. So let's save this. Let me actually go ahead and run this again, and you will notice a small problem over here, which I will just show you how to fix that. So let this run. So it is running up, and you see at the moment this is always showing. this is not what we wanted to do. This indicator should only show when we are loading more. So for this, what I can do, I can wrap this in a visibility widget, and for the visibility it takes another property which is visible. And what is this visible property? I can say this is only visible when my, say, view model dot is loading more. So only when it is loading more, only then this is visible, otherwise it is not. So you can see right now it has disappeared. Now if I scroll to the bottom, let's actually rerun this. I think the hot restart is not working properly over here. So if I go to the bottom, so you can see now it came up and then it loaded the next 10 videos and so on. So see, now it is loading another 10 videos, and as and when I go to the bottom, it keeps on loading more and more videos and so on. Similarly, if I search for, say, Flutter, I get some videos around Flutter, and when I go to the bottom, it goes and searches for next 10 videos. In this case, it seems to be adding, I believe, the same videos again and again. Might be some issue with my API keys. Okay, let's stop this one. Okay, so I think I made a mistake in our API service. I was just investigating. Earlier I had put in this page token with a small t. I had put in like this. So what was happening, the next page token was not being passed correctly. So every time it was returning the same 10 results again and again. So this, I did not know that this is case sensitive. So you have to pass it with the capital T. Let's just save this and let's run this and let's see the output again. So now the application is loading up. So we have these videos. Let's keep on scrolling. It is waiting for the next 10 videos. So now new 10 videos come in and another 10 videos and so on. And you can see at the bottom, it is showing you this extra loading indicator. So this is how we can implement infinite scrolling. Now the next thing that we need to do, we need to add caching to this. So you will notice, just let me run this again. I'm going to show you. If I say Flutter and if I search, it loaded these videos. If I again press on Flutter, it again makes an API call and it goes and brings in the same videos again and again. So how can we implement caching so that we avoid, let's say for 2 hours or 4 hours, we avoid going to the internet and fetching the same records again, and instead serve it from the local cache. So for this, I am going to add a package called do http cache, if I recall correctly. Yes, do http cache. This allows us to implement or add a caching interceptor to our API calls. So let me actually just go ahead, copy this. Let's minimize this. I'm going to go to my pubspec.yaml and I'm going to add this over here, save this, let this download the package. By the way, the source code up until the end of this video will be available on my GitHub repo. I will provide the link in the description of this video. So now this has been added. What we need to do is we need to add caching capability to our API calls. So the way we can do this is a couple of things we need. We need to add a couple of things. So I can first of all add options, late options, and this I can call it cache options. We will initialize it later, and I can add another cache manager, which is a do cache manager. So we have a do cache manager. I can call it do cache manager, and I'm going to declare them as late because I'll be initializing them later on. So what we can do over here is before we can initialize our HTTP client, I can go and I can say my DO cache manager is equal to a new DO cache manager. So a new DO cache manager, and here I need to pass in some configuration options. So I can say it is going to use the cache configuration. And for my cache options, I can go ahead and I can say that my cache options, let's actually make this a small c. My cache options, I can declare them as build cache options. And here I can provide the max age. It's up to us how many hours, days, minutes, seconds, milliseconds we want to cache the response. For my purpose, I'm just going to say let's cache everything for 8 hours. Now this step, ideally, if you want for each of the API calls, you want to cache them differently, then you can skip defining these cache options over here and you can define it in each and every API call. But for my purpose, I'm going to use default 8 hours cache for everything. So for me, this is fine. The other thing that we need to do is once we have built our HTTP client, I also need to add an interceptor. So I can say dot interceptors dot add, and this is where I'm going to add my DO cache manager. That's all we need to say. DO cache manager dot interceptor. That's all we need to do. Now right now at this stage, we have just added an interceptor, and you can see we are not using this cache options anywhere. So it is not going to cache or fetch the data using cache. To make use of this caching, what we need to do whenever we are making this get call, this is where we need to specify the options. So we need to specify the cache options that we have declared. So I can add these cache options over here, and similarly I can go to my other API and I can also add my cache options over here. This is the reason I was saying for each of the API calls, let's say if this one, the search videos you want to cache for 4 hours, whereas the channel URLs you want to cache for 1 day, you can initialize the cache options in each of these functions, and then you can call this. Now with this, let me actually run and show you how this caching is implemented. So let this build. So here now the application is loading, and you can see first time around it was caching. Let me show it to you. So let me search for Flutter. So far Flutter has not been cached. So you can see it was loading. Now if I click on this, it is not returning me the cached, it is returning me the results from the cached storage. It is not going and making the API call again. But if I scroll to the bottom, you see first time it is going and it is making these API calls for the next 10 videos, and you can see then the next 10 videos. So for the 30 videos we have already cached this. Let's actually go ahead, maybe clear this and search. So right now for empty, this is what it is returning. And let me just go and search for Flutter. You can see immediately Flutter came in, and you will also note that the next 20 and 30 videos will be appearing immediately, and only for the 40 video onwards it will now start caching, or it will start making the new API calls. So this is how we have implemented caching in our application. Very straightforward to do so. Now the next thing that we are going to do, let me stop this. The next thing that we want to do, at the moment when I click on this, nothing happens. In any of the video, nothing happens. Ideally what it should do, it should redirect to a new page where we can get the details of that video and we can show it. So let me just close in everything for now. And for this, the very first thing we will need to add in under the views, we will need to create a new page. Let's call it video details underscore page. So we can create a new video details page, and this can again be a stateless widget, and the name of this widget is going to be video details page. So this is a simple video details page that we have created. I can get rid of the default constructor, and let me go ahead and let me define the video ID that we will be passing in to this video details page. So let's call it video ID, and now it is complaining that this is a final variable, which means it needs to be initialized first. So let's go and add a constructor for this. So we can add this constructor. I can remove this super.key to keep this straightforward. This is a required field. So this is a constructor that we have added. Now the next thing that I will do over here, simply I will display just the video ID to start with, or rather let's do it a little bit better, or let's start with just the text, which is the video ID. So I'm just going to display the video ID in this. The method text is not defined because it has imported wrong namespaces. So let's actually go ahead and bring in our material.dart, and text is video ID. We have to specify that this is a child. So this is a container that we are returning, and rather than seeing these errors, let me include this ignore for file so we do not see these errors. So this is a simple page that we have created, and what this page will do, we'll pass in the video ID, and for the time being we are only going to display this video ID. We are not going to do anything funky, but we will make it a little bit more elaborate and we'll do this. So the next thing that we need to do is, for each of this video cell, whenever we click on this video cell, or rather this card, the card that we are creating, what we need to do, we need to redirect to this new page, which is the video details page. So how can we do this? Now at the moment, very simply what we can do, I can wrap this into another widget. So let me wrap it with a widget, and I can use different widgets for this, or I can use gesture detector to detect when this is tabbed, or I can use inkwell, which is the very low level control. It allows you to capture the, let's go ahead and add the inkwell. So inkwell is a simple widget which has another child, and the only additional thing that this provides you is you can add an on tap event. So on the on tabbed event, you can do something. So for example, I can decide to just display a message, or in this case, we can actually go ahead and we can redirect to a new page. So the way we redirect to a new page is very simple. We say navigator, not navigation bar, we say navigator dot push, and this takes two parameters. So the first parameter is the context, and the second parameter is the route. So what is the route? In this particular case, it is going to be a material route, material page. Let's go material page route. So we are going to use a material page route, which actually takes in a builder. And in this builder, all we need to do is we need to specify something like maybe return, or this can be an anonymous function that we can create, and this can be a video details page, and we can pass in the video ID, which is the video, the current video which is being passed, dot snippet dot, or do we have the ID directly, dot ID dot video ID. So we can pass in this video ID directly. So this is how we can do this. But you can see right now there is a small error, because this navigator dot push also expects a context. Now where is this context coming from? If you remember, when we were building this widget, we had a context, and in fact when we were building our list view, we also had this context. But in this widget that we created for our card, we do not have a context. So there are multiple ways to fix this. If we were using a stateful widget, we did not have to worry about, because this context automatically would have been passed from the main control to the child control. So in the stateless widget, either we can wrap this whole control inside of a builder which will have its own context, or another way we can do is we can simply pass in this context from here. So this already has a context, so I can go ahead and I can pass in the context from here, and in this definition I can go ahead and I can say now this is going to get a build context of my context. So this is how we can fix this. Now let me just run this and show it to you in action. So now when we click, it should take us to the new page, and in the new page all we are doing is just displaying the video ID, the video ID of this particular video that we have clicked on. So it is now loading up. Let me go ahead and click on this second video. So you can see it just took us to the second page, and here it is displaying the second page, second video ID. If I click on this one, it is displaying this video ID, VT, H, and so on. We are not able to see this properly because let's actually go ahead and fix this. In the video details page, I can enclose this in a safe area just for the time being. We'll of course build this properly. So I'm going to save this. Now when we click, so you can see this is the video ID V94. Of course we don't have the back button here, and the page is not looking very nice. That is something we will fix. So you can see this is working. It is passing in the information. Now what do we need to do? We need to get more information about, so the start page actually we are done with. We do not need anything. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to, since we have created this, we also need to create a view model. So let's create a view model for this. Let's call it video underscore details underscore page underscore view underscore model dot file, and I can create this as video details page view model, and this is going to extend our base view model. So this is a simple class that we can create, a simple view model. Of course we are going to come back to this and we are going to add more and more information. Now here in this view model, ideally what we should be doing, we should be going and now we should be getting the details of this video. So here, to get the details of the video, let me show it to you. We now need to make another API call passing in the resource name is videos, and we are getting the snippets, snippet, statistics, content details, topic details, etc., and passing in the video ID. Now the same thing, we can copy this response, go to JSON to Dart, and we can create the code for this. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. So rather what I'm going to do, I'm going to simply go to our models and I'm going to add these models. So for this, we already have the models for video, the video search. Let's call them video search models, and these were the video search models. And then we have the channel models related to the channel, and the next one we are going to bring in is the video details models. So models related to this. So for this, I am just going to copy paste the code and show it to you what we are doing. Very simple. So what we are doing, we have another video details result, which has again a list of YouTube video detail items, same concept from JSON. And now we have this YouTube video detail, which has the ID, the snippet, the content details, the statistics, and then we have the from JSON, and then we have the content details, and content details has the duration. How long is this video? Let's say this is 1 hour 3 minutes, or it is 2 minutes 51 seconds, and so on. So these are the models Don't worry, I'm going to share this code at the end of this video on my GitHub page. I'll link to that in the description below. Additionally to that, we are getting some more information. So in our snippets, let me go back to our snippets. In our snippets, we are going to be getting the tags. What do we mean by tags? Let me show it to you. If I go to the other application, so let me open up this video, and here you will be able to see this video does not have any tags. Let's go to something else. Let's go to this one. Okay, it exited. That is because I have changed my API key for that application. But here, if we go back to the snippet, we should be having some tags. Yes, here we have the tags. So for this video, these are the different tags. Whenever you go to a particular YouTube video, which is in this particular case, this video, let's actually open up this video. I think I picked up this first video over here. If I click on show more, where do we have the tags? It is supposed to show the tags somewhere. Okay, so anyways, you will see once we get the tags, we will be displaying them on the screen. So we are going to add the tags. So let me go ahead and add the tags. So in the snippet, I am going to add the tags which are coming, and then same thing I'm going to do. I need to update this in my JSON from JSON. So I need to update this over here, and similarly I need to say this dot tags. So that's how I can update this. And additionally, for my statistics, if I go to my statistics, we also need to display the number of likes and the number of the comments. So for this, I can bring in a couple of additional properties in my statistics class, likes count and comments count, and I can say this dot comments count and this dot likes count. Likes count, and I need to initialize them in my from JSON. So I can just go ahead and I can add this. So this is the simple models that we have created. Now once we have these models, we need to actually get this information from our API. So for this, let us go to our API and we will create a new function for this. This time we are going to call it future of this is, let's actually copy paste this whole thing, and the result is going to be YouTube video detail, and we are going to call this get video details, and what we are going to pass in is just the video ID. We're going to pass in the video ID, and for the API code, I am just going to replace this whole thing with this videos, and I'm getting the content details, ID information, snippets and statistics, and passing in my API key, and of course passing in my video ID. And the same thing I can do, I can now go get this information. I'm going to cache this as well, and then I'm going to return this. This is of type video details, YouTube video details object model. So this is what we are returning. So my API call is ready. Once we have the API calls ready, we also need to add this logic into our the view model. So for the view model, same thing that we will do. If I go back over here, I am going to copy paste some code over here. So I need this over here. So my YouTube API model, let me actually import this library, and we are going to of course have a constructor as well. Let me just copy paste this constructor and then we can change it. I'm going to keep the title as such for now. Let's not change this. And we were also, let's say, doing this as an example. So we were earlier getting the list of the YouTube videos. So now let me do let's remove this. So let's actually build this. So I'm going to create a YouTube video detail model, and I'm going to call it let's call it the video, and let's bring in our namespace. And if we go to the namespace, so YouTube video detail, this is our YouTube video detail. And I'm also going to then create a YouTube video detail get, and I'm going to call it get video. And this is actually going to be this video that I will expose to my front end. And similarly, I'm going to have one for my channel. So let me copy paste, and this time around it is going to be channel, and this is going to be channel. Let's call it the channel. Same thing, the channel, and use the same over here. So we have got our base view model set up. And what we can now do is I can create a simple void function. Let's call it future void. Now this is going to be, if I go to my start page view model, you remember we had this search videos. So this is the kind of thing that we want to do. So actually let's do this. Let's copy paste this whole thing over here. And I am going to call this function as get video details. And this is here where we will do something. So we can say hold on while we load the video details something, and we don't need to do this. And this is here we load the video details. Load video details. So how do we load the video details? I can say underscore the video is equal to await my API service dot get video details, and I need to pass in the video ID. Now we do not have the video ID, so we need to pass this over here. We will see how we will pass it from our front end. So get video details, and I'm going to pass in my video ID. Let's actually get rid of this, data loaded, everything else looks fine for now. Similarly, we can, let's actually go back. We also need the, actually we need the channel details as well. So let's go ahead and let me copy paste for this for now over here, and then we can fix it. So I can say get the channel image, because we want to display channel image URL as well. Get channel image, and I can say get channel results is equal to, so we need the channel IDs. So in this particular case I can say my video dot snippets dot channel ID. So we have the channel ID directly over here. I don't need to construct it. And then I can say my, so this is going to be my channel search result, and now I can actually save this channel to the channel equals to my channel search results dot items dot first. So the very first item. So I can store this over here, and I do not need this. And once this is done, our data is loaded. So otherwise, same thing that we are doing. If we find an exception, we are going to display an error message, and so on. So this is a simple view model that we have created. Of course, this view model will get more and more complicated as we go on, but for the time being, this is a simple view model. And this is complaining that there is something wrong with this here. Where is the error? Constants. We have not imported our constants as well. So let's go ahead and import our constants. So this is our simple view model. Once we have this, now let's go back to our video details page. And just as we look at the start page, we are going to do something very similar. So we are just going to, I'm going to again copy paste the code over here so as to save some time. So we are going to say this time around it is going to be video details page view model, and let's call it the same, which is the view model, and nothing else changes over here. This is exactly the same. And from my start page, I am going to copy paste this whole thing for now, which is build widget. I'm going to copy paste this whole thing. So my view model builder, I need to import the library, which is for the start page view model. Let's actually change this to copy paste, import the library stacked, and it is complaining that it needs to be the same view model. So let it be the same view model. Let's fix this. We do not need a scroll controller, of course, for this, so we can get rid of it because we are not going to implement any scrolling. And here for this view model, we decided to call it vm.get video details, and we need to pass in the parameter, we need to pass in the video ID, which is being passed to this particular page. And then in the builder, same thing that we are doing. Let's again import these namespaces, our styles. We can remove the leading menu icon over here in the app bar because it will automatically show the back button. So we have the cover title, everything is fine. So the title text, and then this is where we need to have the build UI. For the build UI, again, I can go back and I can copy this build UI, and this is where we will build some user interface. So I'm just going to put this build UI, and let's go ahead and import all these namespaces which are missing. So the same concept, if the view model is in error state, we show an error indicator. If it is busy, we will show a loading text, loading indicator. Otherwise, if it is loaded, then maybe what we can do is perhaps we can display a text message. Let's call this text message as view model dot snippet. Do we have snippet? No, view model dot the video dot snippet dot video title. So this is the video title that we can display, and I'm going to make them null safe, and that's it. So this is a simple user interface that we have built in. Let me actually go ahead and wrap this in center so that we can display it in the middle of the screen. Let me add this and save. So this is a simple user interface that we have built. Can I define a const constructor for a class with non-final? So yeah, let's go ahead and remove this, and let's actually run this and see this in action. So here you go. Now if everything is correctly done, let's look at this first video, which is called introducing iPhone 14 Pro Apple, If I click on this, it will take us to the next page and it gives us this error. So let us actually go back and see what is this error. Let me go to my video details page. I am going to catch this at the exception, and let's actually click on the back button, click on the second one, and the error message is null check operator used on a null value. Null check operator used on a null value. So snippet dot channel ID, this is all correct. I think I know what the issue is. Let's actually channel search results. Let's try again now. Or is it in the video details that I'm displaying? No. So it is still giving an error that null check operator used on a null value. Let's actually try to see what are okay, the video details, this is the issue. So the video details came in as empty. So get video details, video ID. So we did pass in the video ID, and let's go to this get video details, YouTube video detail, videos part is equal to content details, ID snippet, and ID is video ID, response is equal to this, and YouTube video detail dot from JSON. Let's actually put in a control over here. So response is returned 0 items. This kind e tag items list has 1 items. So we are getting the response. Just 1 minute. I think I may know what the error is. If we go to the models, it should be returning this video details result for us. It should be returning the video detail result for us. And if I go back to my model, or actually let's do this, video details result and dot items dot first. So we need to actually return the first video, because this is a video result which has multiple items. So let's actually rerun this. This is loading up. Let me go to introducing this. Let's remove this breakpoint from here. Yeah, so you can see over here it shows me introducing iPhone 14 Pro Apple. If I go back, click on the second one, which is iPhone 14 review repackaging 10. Now one thing you will notice is if I click on this, immediately it comes up. The second one immediately comes up. But if I click on the third one, this one actually goes to the internet and fetches it. When I go back, now again if I click on it, it will load up immediately. If I go to the fourth one, it fetches from the internet, and so on. Something which has not been loaded from the internet before or cached, it loads it, but next time around it will automatically be available. So this is where we had implemented the caching. So this is it for this part 5. Next time around, what we will be doing, we'll be building the user interface for this, where we'll have the video image. Let's actually go back to the other one. I think at least one of the video is cached, so we can have a look at that. I believe this one is cached. No, this is going, okay, this one is cached. So this is the kind of user interface that we will be building, with the ability to play the video as well, and the download functionality. So that's it for this video. Stay tuned. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to this channel. I believe we will have another 2 or 3 videos to build the user interface for this details page along with the comments. So see you everyone, till next time. Bye bye.